Hello.
Hi guys, we are back. Sorry, it's been a little bit of a while actually.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you, yes. Today is Thursday the 6th of August, which makes it episode 130 of our lockdown vlog.
We're not ploughing through them quite as quickly as we used to.
No, I think the trouble is, now that we've sort of said that we're not going to do them every day, on any day that we could do one, we're not forcing ourselves to do it. I think I mentioned on the last time we recorded I was feeling a little bit off colour, and actually I felt a bit worse for a few days after that, so that was my main excuse. But to be honest, there were a couple of days we probably could have, so sorry guys. World's been a bit mental.
Yesterday I just got drunk in the afternoon, didn't I?
We were going to do this yesterday, and oh bless, it was quite sweet though, because you went off for a coffee about like 1:30 and then accidentally got day drunk.
You frame it like I went off for a coffee. It makes it sound like I was sneaking about pretending to. I thought I was going for a coffee. I was meeting up with my friend Ig. Turns out I get to the coffee shop, I'm waiting outside it. He says, "Oh,
should we go
where are you? I'm just looking for a pub for us. You know, I'll come to the Potters, I've got a table." I'm like, "All right, okay." So I go to the Potters, and it turns out it was the first day you could drink inside in Wales.
I don't think it was. I think you were allowed from Monday, but most pubs are being shut on Mondays and Tuesdays, I think, because it's quiet.
Ah, okay.
So quite a lot of them, Wednesday was the first day they were doing it.
I stand corrected. So it was certainly my first day.
Yes.
Yeah, and it was a bit of a weird one. Like, it wasn't something I'd have gone out of my way to do. You know, being inside around a lot of people, and it actually didn't feel
mad and crowded.
It didn't feel mad and crowded, but it didn't feel very different to just being in a pub.
In the day, I guess
like
it was quiet. It's not like a busy Friday night
busy,
pub.
But like I wasn't aware of a lot. They did have like plastic screens around the bar, a couple of plastic screens between sort of groups of tables. But yeah, and they obviously have to put down your track and trace, and you have to wait to be seated at the front. You can't just kind of walk in and wander in. But I mean, once you're at your table, you can wander quite happily between that and the bar, up to the toilets and
Is that
back.
in the Potters? Because I assume that's not in Le Pub, because you went to a couple of pubs.
We also then went to Le Pub, where they took a photo of us and spread that around, because we were the first...
yeah, dubbed you right in, they did.
Yeah.
I saw it on the internet, I was like, oh, how's that coffee there, Chris?
Yeah. I think they wanted to get a photo of me, because someone had tried to have me banned, didn't they?
Oh, yes!
Someone tried to have me banned. Well, and
not banned, not like barred from the pub.
But banned from performing there.
We won't go into the details on that, but I find that amusing. But there we go. But yes, we can't say things there because we'll get in trouble. But anyway, yes, so that was quite fun. But yeah, they dobbed you right in. I do like to pretend every now and again that I'm like the old ball and chain. And so like on I was like, oh, you've been led astray. Oh, you went out for a coffee 4.5 hours ago. But it's just like, it's fine. I just got on with stuff. But you did come home and forgot that the dog hadn't had a walk and that we were going to vlog, and then you went and had a nap.
I just got home and I was suddenly really sleepy. It wasn't like I was messy drunk or anything, and I walked home quite happily, but I think it was like a combination of like the drink and then the long walk home, and I was just ready for bed.
Yeah.
I hadn't done that much walking for a while.
Yeah, well, you walked in. It's a good walk into town. It's probably like a sort of 35-40 minute walk all the way into town, and so to do that there and back. But yeah, on the way back, sort of a few pints deep, is just easy to then just go into like. So yeah, to be honest, I was also flagging. So by the time you got home and went upstairs for a nap, I was just like, we'll vlog tomorrow.
And I woke up with a killer headache as well.
In the evening, yeah. You sort of had an afternoon hangover.
Yeah, terrible. Like I say, I only had 3.5 pints. It doesn't take much for me these days anytime that it was nice to be able to drink out of a pint glass, from a drink from the tap at the pub, you know, but anytime there's a little bit of sun, I always think, first thing I want to do when it's sunny, I fancy have a cider in the afternoon, and I always end up feeling a bit fuzzy later and regretting it.
Yeah, it's a nice thing, like, because I get the same. It's sort of like maybe a glass, because I don't normally drink rosé, but on a sunny afternoon, you don't really want to drink red wine, and that's usually my go-to drink. So either like a fruity cider or a glass of rosé. But day drinking is dangerous because you do just find yourself sort of ready for bed at about 8 p.m. And then your sort of sleep pattern's all off kilter, and it's all a bit wrong because you sort of feel like you can't go to bed then. But if you have a nap then, you've absolutely ruined your day, because then you'll be waking up at about 3 a.m.
But you did get a bit worried, I think, because you sort of I said I was a bit drunk and things, and you sort of sent me like a pretend telling off, and then I said, "Oh, I'm on my way home," and you were like, "Oh, I hope not."
Oh, I did say I hope you're not coming home. I was like, oh, I hope that's not because I was giving you like.
No, exactly. Yeah, you were hoping that I wasn't coming home because of.
Yeah, I didn't. I was like, oh no, God, you haven't actually left just because I was sort of winding you up. But yeah, no, I think I sort of because I'd said it like because the picture had been posted on the internet. I think I commented on the picture. I was like, oh, I'm telling all of you guys off for leading Chris astray.
Well, Luke had to go and do a gig anyway, so so it was time to go. But the pub was lovely though, and they're taking sort of. You normally have to kind of book, but I know the owner, and.
I think if they've got tables, they'll take walk-ins.
Yes, it wasn't
but if you've booked, then
special treatment. It wasn't. They weren't squeezing me in beyond capacity. But I messaged Sam and I said, "Oh, have you got room?" And she was like, "Yeah, got room now." So I think it was just lucky. It was a bit quiet, and we were their first indoor customers.
That's probably what I'd be more comfortable doing is going to a pub in the afternoon when it's quiet, because I think the idea of pubs scares me only because of lots of people all a bit drunk. Whereas if it's not that, like, because at the pub in the afternoon on like a Wednesday is never going to be that busy anyway, so I think like those sorts of times it's not so bad, but it's just more like I worry that like they've actually been brilliant in the pub. There's a great one-way system through the loos, so you're never going to sort of be like bottlenecking or anything, and they've really made it that you can't go up to the bar, you have to order at your table. It's all an app that you scan, which is all brilliant. But just generally speaking, sort of being anywhere a busy pub, even if everybody's got their own tables and they're not to be milling about, you know what drunk people are like. They sort of see someone they know, they'll sort of stop and chat and forget to distance, and also maybe the hand washing isn't quite so not quite so regimented, so I make a point of, if I'm there, to sort of every time I walk past a hand sanitizer station is sort of grab some. But like you think, well, maybe if people have had a few, they sort of think, oh, I did that a while ago, but other people have touched things, you've touched things, you might have touched your face, you might have it, you don't know, etc, etc. So the more drunk people there are in one place, and actually I've learned from that terrible fateful Wednesday where I had too many drinks, that I have learned I cannot trust myself. I am not to be trusted out in public with drinks, so I'm not going to be doing a repeat performance of that anytime soon. It is garden drinking at home for me, or at other people's homes.
Yeah, I'm just glad I'm not banned from the pub. I can't believe it. For my incredible, awful right-wing views, presumably. All I'm saying is, guys, now that we've got the recipes, maybe it's time the gays went back to their own country.
What?
I'm joking, of course. I have no idea what gay people eat.
No, but what's the grounds for trying to have you banned as a performer? Or should we go into this, or will we get in trouble?
It's a friend of mine is the main one they're trying to have banned, but then also his friends.
Right. So people who are associated with something they don't really like.
For transphobic views that have been ascribed to him that don't exist.
No.
And he actually is part of the LGBT community and has plenty of trans friends.
Publicly very much an ally and puts his money where his mouth is.
It's because Le Pub is
Bullshit.
a
it's a very dedicated,
very
openly trans-friendly
place.
Well, LGBTQ plus
absolutely
friendly place.
Friendly to all. But what some people don't seem to grasp is trans-friendly doesn't mean you can go to a pub and you never have to see anyone that you just don't get on with personally. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you're a dickhead, you still might see people who don't like you.
Yeah.
You know, however trans you may or may not be.
Yeah.
Like, that's...
Yeah, that's bonkers. But I quite like them. Like, can you please ban these people from performing and their friends because we don't like them? Really? Have a little think. Give your head a wobble.
Yeah, obviously, if anyone who was transphobic, I'd be against that, and I'd be trying to get them to change their ways, but I'm not.
Oh God, Sam would not book. Sam is the lady who runs Le Pub. She wouldn't book a transphobe in her pub at all. No fucking way. So just shush. This is not about transphobia. This is just you've got a personal issue with people. Shush your face. Anyway, I think we've probably gone into the lines of possibly getting in trouble there, but oh well. Anyway, so we are back. So sorry for the delay. We will try to be a bit more on it. We've got another bit of a project up our sleeve, but we'll keep a lid on that for now because we don't know quite how that's going to pan out, which may involve additional vlogs down the line. But we will work on that because we're not absolutely sure on format and stuff. But hey, keep watching this space because there might be some cool stuff coming in this space at some point, maybe. So that's suitably vague, wasn't it? So yes, so other than sort of meandering about and me being a bit rough, although I think I'm feeling a lot better now, which is good. Still really tired, which is not justified. I'm not doing enough to be tired. Because still work opening is big old question mark. So I don't know if I've actually said why there's a question mark, but I'm going to explain now because it's really getting a bit frustrating. So we in the escape rooms, we're in the basement underneath the market, but because it's a basement space, plumbing is an issue, and we've never had our own loos on our floor. There's other loos obviously in the building, but there aren't any dedicated ones in the basement space. And when we moved into the basement space, it was literally just a shell. It was like a warehouse full of junk. There was nothing in there. There were only about 2 electric ports and no ventilation. So they did a lot of work to get it up to scratch for us to be in there, but that did not extend to plumbing in our own loos. So the way we've actually managed to get open was by coming up with an agreement with one of the other businesses that's in the same building, which is the Tiny Rebel Bar, which is attached to us, but actually to get to it you've got to go out of our exit and around and back in. They're actually on the other side of the wall, but there's only a fire door between the two of us. You can't actually go in and out of that. So we've always been using their loos, and that's been the agreement, and that's sort of been fine with business regs because we've got it in writing. There's an agreement in principle between us and Tiny Rebel. It works in their favour because we send all our customers there, but also means we've got loos. Unfortunately though, obviously with COVID, I don't think it would be part of business regs, but also for getting business regs on this, I wouldn't feel comfortable not only myself, but also asking staff members to go into a bar several times during a busy shift. I sort of think that's a risk that isn't fair to ask people to do. Forgetting asking customers to do that, I think I've got to make sure my staff have access to loo, because if you're doing a sort of 11-hour shift, you're probably going to need a wee at some point, and I think that's fair. So we can't expect people to do that, and I don't want to ask them to do that, which I think is reasonable. But there are loos in the building we're in, and there are empty offices above us on floor. There's a whole empty floor that used to be offices that is sitting there empty and has its own loos and has its own facilities. We just need permission from the building owners to use it. But there's a lot of different people asking a lot of different people if this is okay, and basically everybody has said yes in principle, but nobody's willing to go, yes, okay, here's the keys. So we're spending all this time and effort getting ourselves like ready to open, and we are basically, but there's a few like DIY jobs that we can keep ourselves busy with, but basically if somebody said to me, I want to come and play a game tomorrow, we could let them in and it would be totally COVID safe. But we can't because we haven't got loos. So that is a big old question mark that's been hanging over my head for weeks, and so we were really like, right, we're getting close to opening, and thought that was going to be sorted weeks ago, and so that's why I'm not actually back in work yet, and bugger knows when I will be. So that's why work's not open yet. We are ready to go, we are raring to go, we're champing at the bit. Partially, obviously, we want to be open, we want to be earning money. Also, kind of, it'd be nice to get back to the normality of it. But also, like, we don't know, realistically speaking, in terms of sort of the COVID crisis, we don't know if we're going to possibly go into another lockdown of certain measures. As winter comes in and sort of the virus seems to do better in lower temperatures, and also when people are more inclined to mix indoors rather than outside, it seems, if we look to England and actually Scotland, what's sort of happening is localised lockdowns seem more and more likely. And the first things that get told to shut are pubs, but then second to that, it's indoor hospitality, which is us. So realistically, we not only want to get open, we want to get open and get as many people through the door in a shorter space of time as possible, in case we have to reclose for an indefinite amount of time. We've got to kind of build up that nest egg because it's been entirely depleted by all of this, and there have been business grants and there have been things that we've taken, but even with those offerings, we're just about run out of funds now. We've got to the sort of scary approaching the overdraft stages, which is a bit depressing because sort of this time last year we had several grand sitting in the savings account ready to sort of reinvest and
do
expand,
things
and that's
grow.
all gone, Pete Tong. But it's okay. Like I'm not actually sort of holding my head in my hands about that, because compared to some businesses, we're in a good position, and we will be able to get back to where we were. We've just had a setback. That's so much better than a lot of other people.
It doesn't help if other companies take money off you unexpectedly for services that they are no longer providing and that you have cancelled.
Oh, God.
And you've already told them to stop taking payments
Right.
for. That's annoying, isn't it?
I'm going to badmouth them, actually,
Are you? Oh,
because,
okay.
yeah, they deserve it. Right. We used to use a company called ReachEdge, which is part of the Newsquest media group. And they had a very good service, which basically meant they sort of look after your online presence, give you like 6 dedicated phone lines so that you can put different phone numbers on different types of listings so that you can tell where your leads are coming from, record your calls, loads of good services. It was over £100 a month, but lots of good services for that. Fine. COVID hits, we know we're going to shut for a few months. We can't afford to be spending £100, well, more than £100 a month on that when we've got no income. So
we're not using any of those phone lines.
No, not using them. So what I actually asked them if I could do initially was, can I suspend the account, put it on hold, and then reopen it when we can reopen? We're not using it. Can you just basically press pause, and can we reopen it when we reopen? Or, if that's not possible, can we pay a reduced amount for a period of time while we're closed? Can you work with me here? Got a blanket no. And I was like, okay, well, if we close the account, when we reopen, will we be able to get those dedicated phone numbers back? Because otherwise, all of our online listings are all going to have the wrong telephone number. No. You'll have new numbers designated to you. That's it. So it was like, so you're not going to work with me here at all. No wiggle room, no sort of flexibility whatsoever, which I was already pissed off about. So I was like, fine, cancelling the account. Toodles. This was in April. They proceeded to take payments of over £100 in May, June, July, and they've just taken August, even though every single time I told them to stop it, they promised they'd stop it, they assured me no further payments would be taken. It's not a direct debit, so I couldn't cancel it on my end. They kept taking money. Last week I spoke to this bint at fucking ReachEdge, and she assured me, she gave me her word, I have spoken to the department, there is no further work to be done, no further payments will be taken. This morning, pending payment, £108, Newsquest Media. Fuck you! So I phoned the bank, and the bank have now made it that any future payments for that amount to that company will not be taken. I am strongly tempted to take it further, have possibly seek compensation, because they have crippled us financially with those payments. They have, each time, after about a month or so, refunded those payments. Literally, this payment that has taken us out today has taken us within £10 of our overdraft limit. Not our overdraft limit, of going into our overdraft, which we have never used. We've been in a very good position where we crowdfunded to get off the ground. We have always been in the black. We have never we've never taken a loan, we've never gone into debt, we have always been in the black, and these bastards, for giving us nothing and repeatedly promising me they were going to not take any more money, have crippled us.
And the annoying thing is, you can't just go direct to your bank and cancel. You kind of have to jump through hoops and assure the bank that you've already tried
legally,
to cancel it.
It could be sort of, you could be on dodgy ground of sort of getting a subscription that you should be paying for and cancelling it with your bank and actually getting a product for nothing. So I have to sort of potentially, I had to tick a lot of boxes, and they have to sort of, I have to say, I have evidence to prove that I have asked to cancel this, I have spoken to the retailer, and I had to sort of jump through quite a lot of hoops in order to be able to do that. Thankfully, that's done. So even if they try to, they can't take any more money. But they have taken hundreds of pounds without our consent, and they can jog on. So anyone who's contemplating using Newsquest or ReachEdge, don't. They're absolute dickheads. So yeah, there you go. I was livid. I was livid in the first place at their lack of compassion and consideration, because I just sort of thought, well, this is quite short-sighted, because we are going to reopen, and we would have carried on using you for years. But as it is, you can jog on. But to then carry on, but the worst thing is the lying to me, the saying it's been sorted, and then it just keeping on going. Like, that's theft. That's theft, isn't it? Like, that's taking my money without my consent. That's theft. and just a real lack of understanding, apology. It's just been very disinterested. You can't ring them because they're all working from home. I rang this morning on her landline and it just rang and rang and rang. I'm not surprised. She's probably got my number in her phone and she's probably going, nope, not taking that one. She'll be cross. Because I was. Oh, I was.
Not unreasonably.
Yeah, oh, that was like literally like I was still in bed when I opened my phone and I saw that email and I was just like, right, well, that's ruined my fucking day, hasn't it? But actually, as it turns out, at least I sort of, the rage was quite an incentive. I got up, I got some shit sorted, and actually we've also applied for our bounce back loan, so we're going to be slightly better off now. Gives us a bit of breathing room, but not enough to be complacent. But anyway, they pissed me off. I wasn't planning on talking about that, but fuck them. They can have some bad publicity. I'm going to attack the shit out of them in this.
Yeah.
Because yeah, all completely fair. So yeah, not slander if it's true. So yeah, you can fuck off. So yeah, don't use them. Don't use them. Don't give them any of your money because it's all well and good when it's working, but they have no customer service and they will steal your money. So yeah. So that's been my day. Oh god, I didn't even plan on to. But I'm cross again now. I'm really cross.
I, in other news, have been working relatively hard.
Ooh, you've been working hard.
I've been teaching myself Adobe Premiere Pro to do video editing and things. I've started working on a video essay.
Yeah, it's quite a big job you've set yourself. But the bits that I've seen that you have edited so far are looking very good. I'm well impressed. It looks complicated.
I'm used to. I slowly took. It's a lot more complicated than iMovie, which is the app that came with my iPhone that I've been using. So anytime we've done sketches or things that you might have seen, like this is just filmed on a webcam and put out kind of as live. We don't edit this, but any sketches.
You don't say.
Yeah, any sketches of ours or mine or that have been edited, even just putting like titles at the end or at the start. That's all done with iMovie, and it's a very simple, very basic program. It's a bit limited, but for my needs at the time it was pretty good. But I decided I wanted to start making video essays, and it was you really that sort of pushed me a bit and sort of said, well, you know, you want to try and do them so it's got like moving images and stuff in the background and video clips like some of the ones you're watching.
Well, if you're going to talk about, like, if you're going to review things, you kind of need to be able to sort of bring in
if
clips.
I'm talking about movies and stuff like that, it's just nice to have moving clips and things rather than just kind of still images. And it just makes it all look a bit more professional and polished. But it has meant I probably theoretically could do a lot of the same stuff on iMovie, which, as I say, is a much simpler program.
You've been struggling a bit just with the logistics of storage on your phone, getting the stuff off and then uploading
dealing with all the video files, just filming the stuff, and then so if I was trying to get clips of other stuff and put on, which I'd have to do on the computer and then put on, the phone just doesn't have the capacity to do all that. So it's a bit of a shame because when I'm doing it on my phone, I could literally sit there doing a video edit in the back bedroom or in bed of an evening, or when I wake up I could be there editing, working away, whereas this I need to come downstairs and work on this computer, which is, you know, the main computer that also gets used for other things as well, and it's I have to be a bit more professional and actually sit here and do it. But
yeah, also at some point it might be a bit that I also need the PC for work things, and then it'll be a bit like we've got to decide who gets to use it. But down the line maybe, because actually at some point I will need a new laptop for work, so maybe I can do my work on that when I eventually can afford to buy one. Not anytime soon. So please, when we do open, please come to the escape rooms, guys. I promise they're really good.
Yeah,
and I could do with the money. So there we are.
Yeah, well, I wonder also, because this is also the room where our TV is and stuff, so if Ellie is, you know, watching something on the telly, she doesn't necessarily want to hear me, you know, clicking back over the same bit of audio, trying to get the edit right a bunch of times. So maybe down the line when you do have a laptop, maybe we move this into the office or something. I don't know.
Well, we've got a spare, like the room that we had Poppet in when she'd broken her leg and we were recuperating in that room. That room is, I sort of refer to it as the office, because that sort of has in sometimes it's like, but when it used to be used as an office, but then when I lived on my own, I moved the computer and stuff down here because it didn't matter if it was in here, and it was a bit more comfortable, a bit handy. That room it's the only room in the house that hasn't been decorated. It's a bit dark and a bit rubbish, but because I didn't need to have a separate space, because I didn't need privacy, because it would only be me here or me there. It wouldn't be disturbing anyone. But actually, now that you're here and you're going to have projects and I'm going to have projects and we're both going to be working at the same time, we maybe do need a bit more of a separate designated space. So that's a project for us, turning that back into maybe an actual office.
It turns out video editing is a mixture of fun and tedium and frustration.
Right.
But it's very rewarding when you do see what you've got out the end of it and you go, oh, I did that. But you do, you see people who make their living on YouTube and you say, how are they making a living doing that? It's just being on YouTube. And then you actually try and there are people who are just on YouTube just doing like a daily vlog or whatever, and it feels it probably is quite relatively simplistic, but
I think the guys that got the easiest job are the ASMR people. Because they just do uncut, long videos of tapping and scratching and whispering. They do need like quite good kit. They need like really fancy microphones and things. So I listen to ASMR quite often if I'm struggling to sleep, and I love it. But they tend not to be highly edited or scripted or researched. It will literally be, they'll be sat there with a pile of things and a microphone and go, right now I'm going to use this. Isn't this nice? Tappy tap 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 tap. And it's just like, yes, it's very nice, but I think other than like getting your stuff together and actually ploughing your way through one of them, I could do that.
Well, you should do that.
Do I have a nice whispery voice? Yeah. Do people like that?
I reckon. But we don't have a microphone that you can tap.
No, we
all the
need a
ASMR
fancy
people,
one.
they have like the microphones in front of them and they tap. Ours is just...
Yeah, no, you do. You need a really good quality microphone.
Our mic is on...
Because it's all about the kind of
here,
like...
So it'd be interesting to see that played back.
Probably wouldn't look too good.
See how annoying that is for people that I've just been tapping on the microphone. I don't know how that's going to come out if they'll hear that at all.
I would be quite up for doing that. Maybe that'll be my little separate project.
But the video essays where they've written like an essay or a review of a thing or a thing about a thing, but then all the editing and stuff that goes in, it is a job. It is like you go, oh, okay,
well,
it's not...
because you're obviously learning, which means it's going to take longer for you to do it. But even when people are shit hot at that, it is time consuming. Even if you're just getting the clips, ripping the clips so that you're going to upload, editing that down to the bit that you want to show, all of that.
Put them all in order, change the length, change it, and I've been overlaying things. And, it's just.
But like the thing that I do really admire is you set yourself a goal and you do sit and work at it and you get it done, and I think like that's admirable and it looks good. What you do, you're not doing like a half-assed job. It looks good, and I don't think you'd put it out if you thought it looked shit. But it might. No. It may be that they take quite a while to put together to begin with, and then as you sort of do more, you'll get a little bit slicker at them.
Yeah, hopefully I'll get better at just like talking to camera and doing the voiceovers. I find that quite difficult, just getting my voice so it sounds...
Yeah, it's difficult not to sort of... I think it is, because sometimes not so much actually in the clips that I've seen of you doing for the video essay, but when you've been doing voiceover bits that are intended to be just voice and that aren't to camera, it's easy to slip into the tendency of going a bit reedy, and you're like, no, not as in like a reedy sounding, but like you're reading.
Either like I'm reading, or it's just a bit flat, or you're trying not to sound like you're reading, so you try and remember it, but then you play it back and you sound like someone trying to remember something rather than someone just making a point. I think the trick
is probably, and I think it's more like using my sort of acting thing, is to sort of try to think of it as you're talking to a person, or like you were doing some stand-up, rather than I am getting some information across to the thing. But I think all of that will again come with practice, come with listening to it back and go, oh, I can hear that. Oh yeah, maybe it like...
chosen quite a niche. I won't go into it because it hopefully, in case anything all goes wrong, it doesn't happen. But I've chosen quite a niche topic for this series of videos, I think. But hopefully it'll kind of be like a good platform to kind of learn, and then if I ever hit upon something with a broader appeal, I'll have those skills to take with me. And also, if you do then get that broader appeal, people might look back into your more niche stuff then and look at your other stuff and then go, oh, like, because I don't think it's technically niche, but it's not a niche topic. It's just a sort of niche area of a topic. Yes, hopefully it's, people...
So last time we were here, we ended up doing basically what we've done today, which is just talk about us, and we intended to talk about some political stuff. I don't want to leave today without going into some of the sort of lockdown stuff that's going on at the moment, because that's really what this vlog is supposed to be about. And so it's important to talk about. I think there was rumblings of it. We talked about the fact that Leicester had gone into a local lockdown. Most of the north of England, or lots of the north of England anyway, all of Greater Manchester and all of the surrounding areas, has all gone into a more strict lockdown at the moment. So there's no longer mixing indoors and lots of other sort of things. It's not full. It's not. Also, there's like not allowed to sort of travel outside of the areas. You've got to stay local, and lots of things like that going on. Interestingly, they've actually also over the border up in Scotland had to implement their first local lockdown in Aberdeen. So that has they put on a midnight curfew. So actually, all indoor hospitality had to close at 5 p.m. So had no evening indoor hospitality, which would screw us if that happens here. But also pubs were taken off the books and all of that. It was sort of went back strict because there was an outbreak of about 54 cases, and 54 confirmed cases could very well mean all of those 54 people have mixed with lots of other people, which could lead to a later spike. So you need to shut it down quickly before those undiagnosed people who may be symptomless are still mingling. So they sort of quickly snapshot on any places where people might mingle, and hopefully get a lid on it before it explodes. Because this is the thing I've been saying all along with this, but these outbreaks, you don't know how bad they are until they're already well further down the line than you realise, because of this lag before people show symptoms. And also with people possibly not showing symptoms at all, if they're just then gadding about and mixing about willy-nilly, they're going to be leading to other people getting infections. So it's dangerous territory. So here in Wales, thankfully, things are still going really well, all going in the right direction. We have actually now, I don't know if they're actually open, I think they might be opening next Monday, but gyms, leisure centres, things like that have been told that they can open, which is amazing. We are now already open with pubs and restaurants indoors, all with socially distancing measures and usually table booking and usually a lower capacity and all of those things, but they are actually open. Also, one thing that we've been doing different to the rest of the UK all the way through this is we've still never at any point been told that we are allowed to mix, other than bubbled households, 2 bubbled households, have never been allowed to mix indoors with anyone, regardless of social distancing. We are now allowed to do so in pubs, but theoretically the rules in pubs are that people at a table should be from a household. Technically, people shouldn't be sharing a table with people who are not in their bubble. I suspect that is not what is actually happening. I suspect people are meeting in pubs, but at least the sort of contact tracing details will be taken. People know what risk they're taking, and all of the appropriate hygiene measures should be in place for regular hand washing, tables to be sanitized, all of those things, and people know the risk that they're taking. But from the 15th of August, all being well, we may finally, for the first time since April, be allowed to mix indoors with other people who aren't in our bubble. It's not been allowed yet. They haven't even gone into sort of, like, because they sort of do these like little mix, they like say that they're going to announce it. They haven't said numbers. They haven't said sort of number of household or number of people. I suspect it will be up to a maximum number of households mixing or a maximum number of people. There'll probably be things like that. But all being well, the 15th of August should be the day that that happens. Now, in the last time Mark Drakeford, who was First Minister for Wales, spoke about that, he did say we may have to put the brakes on that if we start seeing things that are similar to what's going on in the rest of the UK, but it's still on the table. But basically the thing that they're most cautious about, because almost all of the outbreaks that we've had everywhere globally since lockdowns have been implemented anywhere have been things that have happened indoors. So I think mixing people indoors is the one thing that he's the most reluctant to sort of put on the table. Plus, once you're not in a public place and people's like public liability insurance aren't going to be like, and there aren't staff and there aren't supervision, indoors behind closed doors in private residences, I think the suspicion is that any semblance of social distancing will go out of the window and people will just mingle as normal, and then you might have outbreaks, which is reasonable. But I have to say, I cannot wait till I can just, like, we don't have to all have an orgy, but just like 4 or 5 friends in my living room, board games, like that kind of thing, like a nice night in with some people that I know. That doesn't mean I have to go to the pub, that doesn't mean we have to sit in the garden with our coats on if it's a bit chilly. Those sorts of things I can't wait for, so I'm really hoping that does come in here. I fully agree with everything that's happened. It's been a very slow, steady, cautious approach, but the numbers are backing it up. We have got lower cases here than everywhere else in the UK. So we've got to just keep doing what we're doing. There have been minor outbreaks up in North Wales, up in Wrexham, and I think those have been linked to food processing plants. Again, it's a low temperature thing, but that's what's going on. So it's all going well for Wales. Newport, which is where we are, haven't had any cases for over a month. We're doing really well down here. No confirmed new cases in any of the daily cases for weeks now, weeks and weeks. So that also makes me feel a lot better for when people are being a bit risky, because if you are breaking the rules but there's none in the local population, that's really good odds. Obviously, anybody who's in a pub in Newport might have been in Wrexham last week, so there's still a risk. It's not risk-free, but it's a lot more reassuring that your odds are a lot better, which makes me feel a lot better. So I want to know what your thing about the Guardian newspaper was, if now would be a good time for that.
It's a very sort of minor thing, really, but the Guardian newspaper, I mean, it's minor in the grand scheme of things. So I'm now going to say something that for the people involved isn't very minor at all. But the Guardian newspaper has had to let 180 staff members go. So obviously, in terms of a lot of everything that's been going on in the world, relatively minor, but I don't mean to diminish that. No. For those people, that's obviously miserable, and they're struggling financially. And I went on their website the other day to read an article, and it was because I was reading about something else that I found out about this. You know, and it was kind of linked to, and it was basically saying, you know, will you subscribe, you know, sign up to the Guardian, and it's not. They say now, I mean, who knows what happens in the future, but they say it's not a step towards a paywall. No. Like, if you don't do it, you can still have everything for free. If you do it, it'll allow them to give personalised ads, which helps them get more ad revenue and helps them continue. Running. And, you know, not that any paper is sort of beyond reproach, and certainly they wrote a very odd article about the Cardiff comedy scene that wasn't really representative of the scene that I recognise, about how tough it was and all the heckling in South Wales comedy, and which isn't really my experience, although, you know, they have a lot of love for a lot of the comedians that they spoke to and things that were really great. But anyway, that's by the by. Just, you know, so I'm not some mad Guardianista fan or whatever, but I did decide I was going to sign. I know a lot of people are very cautious about what information they give to the internet and don't like personalised ads and everything like that, so I'm not advocating for it. I'm not saying everyone should. I'm just saying that's what they're doing, and I chose to sign up. Each to their own, you know. But I hate
to burst your bubble. A few weeks back, possibly even a month or so back, I subscribed for £2, just £2 a month, not a lot, because the main reason for that is quite often when we talked about things on this, I then went back and I noticed that I was linking to Guardian articles a lot, so I kept getting to that bit at the bottom that was saying, like, if you'd be helping us out, like, I sort of felt, well, if I'm referring people to your articles, if I'm using your articles as research for some of this, and they're the sort of where I'm getting my facts from, I kind of felt like I was obliged to do so. So I did, but I didn't know about the job losses. But I can't say I'm massively surprised. That is the way that sort of print media has been going for a long time. Like, I used to work in London in PR in 2007 to 2010. So quite a long while ago now. God, I'm old. But that was already the case of quite lots of job losses and relying more and more on freelancers and things like that. So the newspapers have been hemorrhaging staff and money for quite a long time. But I suspect this crisis has really pushed that into overdrive, as with many industries.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, all right. You want to trump me by giving them money? That's fine. But like, no, it's not. But it's not that about that.
No, I just meant that I already knew about that bit.
Sure, but like you can if you want to, you can sign up for free and just have I guess a profile or something. I don't know what they call it, but it just means you can, as Ellie's done, give money, and that's great. Or you can just sign up for free and get personalised ads, and it just gets them a bit more revenue.
Yeah.
And like I say, I understand a lot of people are very cautious about giving their information to anyone, and don't like personalised ads. And if you don't, fair enough, that's absolutely fine. Like I say, I'm not pushing this necessarily. Just thought I'd mention it because, like, the Daily Mail website is one of the biggest websites, like in not just in Britain but in the world. Globally, it's insane, and they make so much money because of the amount of people clicking through the website. And I just think, like, if the Daily Mail is doing that well, then there needs to be competition, doesn't there? Because the Daily Mail is like a cauldron of hate and intolerance and scaremongering and celebrity bothering. And
I make a point, actually. I always make a point of this, but actually it's a good practice to do. If you're on Facebook or you're on social media and people put a link, you'll see that it's a Daily Mail link. I make a point of not clicking on it, and I might comment and be like, what's the story, because I'm not clicking on the Daily Mail. Or I will see the headline and I'll go and then Google that headline and then look at it through another source, because websites do get paid per click, and the Daily Mail do lots of very clickbaity, very nasty, salacious celebrity gossip, also like hate mongering. They're horrible, soulless people. So yeah, I try not to get, because even if you're thinking, well, it's not costing me anything, they get paid by how many people click on that article because of the ads embedded in that article. So don't click on them. Don't give them the clicks. Doesn't cost you anything not to do it. You can find the story elsewhere, which will be better. Like, the journalism will be better and more balanced elsewhere. So you'll get actual better facts, because the Daily Mail has actually been blacklisted as not be. You can't use it in academic writing as a reliable source.
Wow.
You can't, like, it's not credible because they really do twist the facts beyond recognition, and it's not reliable. So actually, if you think, well, that's a story I'm interested in, fair enough, but Google the story, read it from another source, go to somewhere a bit more balanced,
really feel,
whatever side of the coin you're,
if you really honestly feel that you must click on a link, then why not head to What Culture and check out my reliable and credible article about Elton John and help me make some money. Because it's made me about 98p,
and you only make money on it for the clicks you get in the first month, don't you? So if it explodes next month and gets thousands upon thousands of views, no good to us.
Do it now, because the thing is, like, it sounds like I've signed up for a con, doesn't it? Like, because the last one I said I got 77p, but I've written articles in the past for the same website that have made me over £100.
I reckon they're punishing you since you said that you wouldn't work for them as a full-time writer.
Oh no! Well, since then I did have. Like, because the ones I wrote early in lockdown, I made like
that's true.
Over
it's been
£100
since then,
So it's just these last couple that were ones. Well, I did one that was. Sometimes you pitch things to them, and sometimes they have articles they want written. And I did one that wasn't something I pitched; it was something they wanted written about Disney Plus.
Oh yeah, it was the censorship on what's been censored, wasn't it?
And that made me about £80, I think.
Nice.
So I was like, oh, okay.
Maybe
the ones that they want written, they've got an idea of what works for their audience and whatever. So then I took 2 other commissions from them, and these are the ones that made me 77p and 98p, and it's just a bit frustrating because I work quite hard on them, harder than I did on the Disney Plus one. So it is what it is. I've pitched another article to them now, so I did that this morning, so I'm waiting to hear if I get to write that one.
So if it makes money.
Yeah.
We should probably wrap up soon, but there's a big story that I think it would be remiss of us not to mention, because it was mind-blowing. So anyway, like, it actually happened a few days ago. It happened it was either the 4th or the 5th. It was Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday of this week. It was the 4th or 5th. But basically, in Beirut, there was a massive explosion. And like, when you hear explosion on the news, you kind of assume like a small scale, a few windows are going to be blasted out, and like maybe it's going to be like a car engine has exploded or something like that, which obviously quite remarkable, but it does not do this justice. The footage that has come out of it, which we're still getting new footage daily, but when I first saw it, it looked like a nuclear bomb had gone off. It looked absolutely mind-blowing. So it seems in the Dockland area of Beirut, there was a fireworks warehouse, and there was a fire in the fireworks warehouse, which was a shit show, as you'd imagine. But that's happened before. There've been other fireworks factories, but the real kicker seems to be, because there's still information coming out and there's a few people throwing out some conspiracy theories out there, but the official line anyway is that this warehouse was next to a warehouse which had 2,750 tons of badly stored ammonium nitrate. Now, when that explodes, boy, you know about it. And
in my experience.
Yeah, oh my god. Like, well, the death toll at the moment is estimated at around about 135, but there are people missing. There is rubble. Like, it has annihilated buildings. The shockwave alone was blowing out windows miles away. It was insane. The satellite footage, the sort of bird's eye view footage of where it happened, there's a crater where the actual building went. And the footage is horrifying. It looks like something from a disaster movie. Like, you can see the shockwave come out. It was absolutely just otherworldly. It was awful. So that's happened in Beirut, which has got a coronavirus outbreak. Lebanon has already been having a fucking pasting for the last few years for various reasons, and it's just awful. So they think more than 5,000 people have been injured, which isn't surprising, because literally buildings have, like, high-rise buildings, the entire building have had, like, all of the windows have blown through. Anybody in there will have been cut with glass and things like. The shockwave was enough to sort of send cars flying. It was insane. So that is just fucking awful, and it's not like Beirut is known for being like the most blissfully calm and well looked after place in history, and it's just awful. The footage is shocking, and there's more and more coming out. And yeah, it's why anybody was storing 2,750 tons of ammonium nitrate. What was that for? Like, what were you, if you're going to store something like that, honestly, it looked like a nuclear bomb. Like, it had a mushroom cloud. It was fucking insane. I just can't get my head around. It's horrifying, the footage, and it's just like, well, this is just badly stored chemicals. What the fuck are you playing at? But yeah, maybe don't store that next to a fireworks factory. Maybe. So I gather last time I looked at the headlines on this, which was earlier today, 16 people had been taken into custody as part of the investigation, because obviously a lot of people have fucked up. So whether this is just sort of negligence or there are conspiracy theorists out there that are sort of pointing the finger and trying to sort of suggest that maybe there was outside influence, or that it was one of the stories that I've seen is that actually the fireworks factory was a Hezbollah weapons site, but the Israelis attacked it, but they didn't do due diligence and check the surrounding area, and they should have known that attacking this target would have this effect. This is all potentially just and probably conspiracy theorists, but ultimately some people have fucked up, because that should that amount of ammonium nitrate should never have been stored in a city, in a dock. Like, that's just bonkers. Like, so yeah, it's absolutely shocking, the scenes coming out of there, but we can't sort of have a vlog this week and not mention that, because it was absolutely astounding.
The weird thing for me was, first I heard of this, I actually have a friend who lives in Beirut.
Oh god, I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, they're not someone, because they moved away and lived, I used to know them from being in a book club together, and then they moved with their partner abroad, and they live in Beirut now, so I'm not in regular contact with them, but I'm still Facebook friends with them. And she posted up a Facebook status that just said okay.
Right.
And then under that, there were people saying, oh, be safe, look after yourself.
So you're like, what's going on?
And yeah, that is really weird without context. Just someone saying okay, and then people underneath going, look after yourself. Because obviously that is like okay, short for I'm okay.
I'm okay.
But I almost read it as like, okay, I've made a decision. I'm going to do something. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
You don't know what sort of
Without
okay you're dealing
context,
with.
yeah.
It's really,
I'm guessing there was probably fuck all signal, and it was just I've got to let people know that I'm okay, and that was literally like a very rushed.
Oh yeah, there's no criticism, but without context, that's a very weird thing to be like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And then only afterwards you go,
oh, that's what that was, right. So I guess more will emerge on what the fuck actually happened there, but it's scary stuff. And yeah, you just don't expect to see something like that in a city, in a sort of it's just honestly bonkers. So I guess we should probably call it a day. That we did have one or two other bits, but we can leave them because we're already nearly at 50 minutes. So yeah, we don't talk too often, but when we do, we go on.
We're giving you your money's worth.
We go on. So we're going to call it a night there. But we'll be back as soon as we can. We will try to keep on these and do them a bit more frequently as and when we can. Just because I don't have to do them every day doesn't mean I get an excuse to be lazy.
And we're up to 50 subscribers now, so
yay! Halfway there.
Yeah, we'd love it if you please keep liking and subscribing, and
yeah, we've got some tricks up our sleeve, so do keep watching. Hit your subscribe, get your alerts. We'll have some cool stuff to share in the coming weeks. But yes, so just keep watching this space. In the meantime, like and subscribe. There's zero shame in that. None.
None whatsoever.